Hello, welcome everyone to yet another Pokemon Federation power rankings for Season 12. This is for Drought, which is the lower div of Weather, which is the VGC div. So it's an at-dex VGC format with no Dynamax and I believe also no cut moves. If there are cut moves, I've drafted my team in the other div wrong. With me, we have two guests, so say hello, Pumpkin.
Hi.
And say hello, Cubone.
Yo.
And they are both coaching in Drought this season, and I'm sure both of them will go far. Do you guys have any leading comments to say?
I doubt I will go far.
So it is Cubone's first season of VGC, but they've had some stellar and also some admittedly less than stellar performances in WPF so far. I believe that you were the other Tyranitar team, right? In the Gen 5 draft? 4 draft? One of them?
Gen 5, I was Rain, and that did not go well at all.
Yeah. None of the weathers did super well, which is, I think, mostly a result of pricing. And Pumpkin, have you coached in WPF before? I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, I was in Drought last season. I made semis and lost to Mogo.
Dang. And it's crazy. How many people lost to Mogo in... It's almost like Mogo 1 or something, you know? That's absolutely shocking.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
Well, semis and not promoting. I know that they had a lot of new applicants and returning applicants. I think they mentioned that, like, yourself and Riz were on the borderline of promoting, but then they had a bunch of people who were returning from previous seasons of Drizzle. So that should make this season like a cakewalk for you, I'd imagine, right, Pumpkin?
Hopefully.
Well, let's head into our 16th pick, which is very accurately described. So that's right, this is the no Metagross team with the Umbrella Academy, and I believe that image logo was generated by an AI. It's just, this team has a lot of really strong guys. It's got Mega Salamence, which is one of the two most expensive Pokemon in the format, or maybe three, but I think two, with Mega Gengar and possibly something else. Phenomenally
I think
strong.
it's just Mega Gengar.
Yeah, it's just Mega Gengar.
Yeah, so then it's incredibly strong. You have Victini as another really strong breaker with a decent set of support moves. You have Kartana, another really strong breaker with a decent set of support moves. You have Thundurus, who is a really strong breaker with a decent set of support moves, and Lucario, who is a fairly strong breaker with... Wait, let me check a decent set of support moves. So this team has a lot of repetition. I don't know why. I don't know why this team has so many ice weaknesses. I don't know why this team's only fake out option is Shiftry when it doesn't even have like Thundurus doesn't get Sunny Day or something. Like, there's not like genuine depth to why Shiftry is on this team that I can tell. So I'm surprised they didn't go for like 2 or 3 cheaper Pokemon with those points. I don't really know what was going on with the thought process of this team. Both Rhydon and Togetic are ones you want to be bringing a decent bit, especially when you're this electric weak, or relatively electric weak, I guess. I don't know, like, they don't mind being next to each other, and yet they are competing for that Eviolite slot, which is a bit annoying, and then that also kind of invalidates Lickitung from coming. And beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, like with Rhydon, I guess you could go like...
Yeah, you could run an offensive item on it.
Which is... Okay, I mean, you could go Choice Band, which, I mean, does have 130 attack. It's slow for Trick Room, but what's setting up Trick Room? Victini?
Yep. Victini, very funny Trick Room setup. I mean, I think you'd have to run Iron Ball for Trick Room in a lot of matchups with Rhydon, because base 40 is often not going to be the slowest, and, that's always going to be rough. But even then, like, I don't know, I feel like Rhydon is doing a lot less than it could be if it is not utilizing Eviolite. I just feel like this team also is super frail to like special attackers, especially like rock type moves from special attackers because Katana and Lucario and Rhydon are their rock resists. If Rhydon does not have EVO Light, then they have 3 relatively frail rock resists, especially on the special side. Yeah, I'm just not super a big fan of this team's defensive profile, or the fact that a lot of its offensive mons don't really seem to have synergy as much as they kind of overlap. As much as it's nice to pressure the same defensive checks a lot, I'm just not sure that this does this in the most effective of ways.
Yeah, I feel like the offensive side of it doesn't like really pressure enough. It's just a bunch of attackers, and like they don't really help each other out at time. And defensive is just very horrendous.
Yeah, they really took until, like, I mean, Mega Mence has some defensive profile and Victini has some defensive profile, but they're really priced for their offensive options. So then the first one they're getting to that's really priced for its defensive options is Thunderous with Prankster Disruption, which is like okay, but then Togetic, and then Rhydon. Again with the EVO Light anti-synergy there. Like without item claws, I think this team would be slightly better, but still not great. I just yeah.
And I do like Lickitung for a 1-pointer, but because he has Togetic, he's never going to bring Lickitung.
Lickitung is there for the opposing Spectria matchup. That's about it. You know, like I'm not sure.
And even then, I think you'd be better off just bringing Togetic.
Very, very probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like Thunderous is also just a really weird prankster mon for this team because its speed control is a lot more situational than most other prankster options, and this team would really appreciate decent speed control. Yeah, like as it stands, it's clicking Tailwind with Mence or Katana or Togetic, which is going to be a relatively slow Tailwind, so opposing teams may already have gotten a KO into said mon at that point. And yeah, I don't love this team's Ice matchup, I don't love this team's Rock matchup, I don't love this team's Ground matchup. It's just all kind of coming together to where most Pokemon with a decent stab and then one of those 3 types as coverage moves is going to be annoying for this team to deal with, especially if that mon is either a special attacker and thus doesn't care about Intimidate, or has Defiant, or has the other thing, has like Inner Focus, something that makes them immune to Intimidate. I think is really going to spook this team.
Honestly, speaking of Defiant, like the one point of synergy I actually like about this team is the Defiant Thunders, because this team has a lot of physical attackers.
Yeah. So, to my thoughts on that is, Katana, impacted by Intimidate in a relatively consistent way. Mega Mence is often going to, like, I mean, it doesn't mind running special, Victini doesn't mind running special, and Lucario is immune to Intimidate, so it's really just Katana and Rhydon. And maybe Shiftry, but I think Shiftry's bad as a special attacker outside of Sun, because you don't have Solar Blade, right? I don't remember. I use Shiftry in BDSP, and I don't know how different its moveset is in, like, National Dex. I assume it's better.
It's got a good move pool for, like, special, but it does not do nearly enough damage as it needs to.
I don't think it does.
No matter what,
it does in fact have Solar Blade.
Yeah, no, it does have Solar Blade, but when you're not clicking Solar Blade, you're clicking. Does it get Leaf Blade in Standard? Is that why? Because I don't think
it does have Leaf Blade.
Okay, never mind. I take it back. It's less of a dire situation than I remember.
Shiftry also is has Tailwind, so
it does also have Tailwind. So they have another slow-ish Tailwind setter that doesn't like taking like Ice Beam. It's great. Look, if they imprison Ice Beam, this team probably 6-0s every team because they just won't have any attacking moves to click. But beyond that, yeah, I just don't love this team. It's like Noe is certainly not a bad player by any means, and none of these positions are ranked on how we think that the player themselves are going to perform. It's just mostly a question of how much we feel like the player has to fight against the team that they have to actually like win games. How much versatility, how many options, how many outs, and how much positioning that they have to do, how much their team comp forces them to out-prep and outplay their opponent to win a game, instead of just like bringing a basic set with some tweaks. And I really feel like this team is struggling and is often going to be on the back, and that is not a great place to be. Okay. But, I think basically what I'm trying to say is that, while there are weaknesses with this team, they aren't terminal. Unlike the coach of our next team, in 15th place, we have the Philadelphia Perhilrilish with the tonal. I like that logo. Oh yeah, this team. This team's weird. So our initial thoughts with this team is it's often nice to have both a Rage Powder Mon and a Follow Me Mon. However, Butterfree and Wartortle don't really Butterfree takes the grass moves that hit Wartortle, but Wartortle doesn't take the moves that hit Butterfree besides fire moves, and also they share that electric weakness. And speaking of that electric weakness, oh my, they have one Pokemon that naturally resists it, being Naganadel, who's relatively frail, and then they have Lightning Rod to give themselves an immunity to it, which is conditional on that Mon being on the board, their opponents not clicking a spread move, and just a whole ton of things. And then AWAC is also then forced to be switch in, so that they can abuse Lightning Rod rather than being in stronger positioning where it can get value itself. Because Alola Marowak is a very strong Mon that becomes very weak when it gets knocked or corrosive gassed. And I just feel like when you are forcing yourself to switch it in hard on basically every single electric type, that's not a great position to be in. You're a lot more likely to get your damage mitigated. I just don't think Megalop is great. I don't think Genesect really has the best support for it here. I think if they had a Tailwind setter that either had Prankster or ideally was an inner focus Tailwind setter like Crobat, I feel like that's a position where Genesect winds up doing more, because you're more consistently able to get it into that position to do clicker things, because it is always worried about opposing Flamethrower and opposing Heat Wave. I don't remember if this team actually has Wide Guard. I think Wartortle might. I know Blastoise does, but I'm not sure Wartortle does.
I don't believe Wartortle does. Let me see.
But even so,
yeah, there's no Wide Guard.
It does not.
Yeah, even if it did, I still think this team would. I still wouldn't feel that much better about this team. I just feel like this team doesn't have a whole lot of tools to work with in terms of mitigating the weaknesses of its stronger options. It's hard that it's spending a lot for in the first place.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make another note on the Wartortle and Butterfree. Generally, I am a fan of double redirectors, but that's kind of situational. Those are both. None of them are cheap. None of them want to do anything besides click follow me. And yeah, it's just completely redundant having them both on the same team. Yeah. Aside from Butterfree mitigating the ground weakness, which also is a big problem.
Yeah, but is Butterfree really going to mitigate a ground weakness?
No.
Yeah, also it's Butterfree. That's a one-time redirect because it's not making it more than one turn.
Yeah, I think Butterfree was a significantly more interesting Mon when it had access to its Gigantamax, just because its Gigantamax was pretty unhealthy. I think it had a 33% chance to sleep opponents, 33% chance to poison, and 33% chance to para. Or it might have been para, poison, or do nothing. Either way, 33% chance to para both opponents is pretty strong. And having that flexibility made Butterfree a much more intimidating Mon to face off against. As it stands, it just kind of gets faked out and then picked off with a spread Rock Slide. Because this team's Rock matchup isn't
this team
really great.
just loses to
this
Quake
team's
and
Rock
Rock
Resist
Slide.
is a Pokemon that needs to Mega Evolve, which isn't great. I just don't like this team very much. I think this team is, it just doesn't have... Sorry, this was the thing is, I said, this team feels like it loses to a lot of opposing, tempo, it really struggles to contest early game tempo because it is reliant on, similar to the previous team, it's only really got Naganadal and Butterfree, I think, as tailwind setters. It doesn't have a great way of, like, it's like, oh, you're running Scarf E-Web on Genesect, or you're running Icy Wind on Megalop. Opposing teams are often going to get the advantage of it in terms of speed control, and too many of its mons are just really frail that, like, committing to get dual screens up with Grimmsnarl is already something where you're struggling to get, like, opposing counterplay, and this team is just going to lose mon by mon while they try to set up positioning. They don't really have the ability to get tempo back once the opposing team has put them on the back foot, which I think is a real issue with this team. Like, yeah, I feel like you're going to have to run Fake Out Grimmsnarl a lot. I feel like you're going to be using Megalop and Wartortle themselves also for Fake Out a decent bit, but then you're not really getting that much done because you're really only going to get one mon out of that turn, and your opponent is going to be a lot more capable of getting 2 mons out of you than you are of them within one turn. That was, yeah, the main concern I had for this team. Well, ultimately, some teams are done dirty by their coaches, but the team at 14th wasn't exactly done dirty. I think we could say it was done filthy. So, Mr. Cubone, why don't you enlighten us on your team?
Yeah, so, admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about VGC. I just know that Incineroar do silly strong things, so I drafted that. And then I kind of fumbled through draft and redid it all at the end. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure what my team does. So I'm hoping to just kind of like do some stupid stuff.
Yeah, my thoughts on this team were that Incineroar's really strong, Meg Gardevoir's really strong, Torkoal's really strong, Lilligant has good synergy with Torkoal, Melodic is okay, but less great in Sun, and I do think the Sun thing is strong. Rhyperior was really solid in Max, but less solid so much out of Max, and its speed tiers, again, that 40 base speed contested thing, and then Lunatone is your Trick Room setter for Torkoal as well, which is its own sort of issues. Noivern is actually, I think, a pretty solid, fast Tailwind setter, and it has telepathy, which it can't really utilize as much, but you know, you can technically Lava Plume Torkoal next to it, but it is pretty decent. My main, I think, problem with this team was just that besides Incin, the way that it gets its mons into strong positions, either by hard switching, which has a lot of risks, obviously you do it a decent bit, but you know, you prefer your parting shot, or it's by flip turning with Melodic, or U-turning with Noivern, none of which these mons I think really love doing.
So after week 1, I did switch out Melodic for Gyarados, which I think puts me in a better spot offensively, but in a worse spot defensively.
Yes and no. I mean, Intimidate,
we'll see how that goes.
I think Intimidate is actually more important for your team, because you had, like, a double Intimidate's really strong. And you honestly kind of positioned decently. Also, not losing your Water type to Solar Beams is funny. I like.
Also, I picked up Cubone. I had a
That's true.
have
That's
a mascot now, so
that does like elevate the team, but unfortunately, you know, PS is
that's the real carry.
We all know the Cubone. The great thing about Cubone is it adds Lightning Rod support for the Gyarados, which you already had.
And it hit harder than
Rhyperior?
Rhyperior.
I believe you. It also has like a really strong single target move in Bone Meringue. Look, this is why you have to remember that the mascot picks are actually just like being good at the game. Yeah. I don't have a good transition.
Yeah, I have like a couple of thoughts on this team.
Yep.
The support, besides like outside of Incineroar, is like very limited.
Yeah.
The speed control is super weird. Like Northrim's pretty good at it, but otherwise, this team has this team has 0 strong hitters that don't lose to Wide Guard. Like actually 0.
So my thought process when I was looking at the team in Drizzle, which is a Mega Gardevoir team, is that Mega Gardevoir is a mon that clicks it clicks Hyper Voice every turn, except for when it's in front of a White Gun mon, which is when it clicks Psychic, which is a lot easier when you're looking at a Wide Godmon being like a Hitmontop or a Hitmonlee, Machamp, you know, a fighting type, and a lot less consistent when that Wide Godmon is, you know, Aegislash, Araquanid, something like that. Those are I'd say the major concerns that I think. That you can kind of deal with Wide Godmons to some extent. I know when I had Torkoal in, again, BDSP, but BDSP's, you know, look, it's a special format, and I think it should be appreciated for what it is. I wound up running Flamethrower a lot because then I had the ability to play around people wide guarding, but it is significantly new to your damage output. I believe that single target Flamethrower is still weaker than Spread Eruption, just because Eruption's 150 base power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's true.
Well, as long as Torkoal's full health, but
yeah. Obviously it cannot be. Also, never run Sheer Force on Hariyama, or the Fake Out won't work.
Yeah.
The like random battles doubles gives you Sheer Force Fake Out Hariyama, and it makes me want to cry. Because it will often be my only Fake Out one. I've not played it this gen. I don't think Hariyama's in this gen. But I remember in Gen 7. Yeah, I don't love Lunatone as a Trick Room setter. I think Torkoal is one of the best Trick Room abusers, period. So having a more consistent Trick Room setter would have been nice. But otherwise, I think this team can really blow through opposing teams, and they have to outplay you. Unfortunately, you're a relatively new player to the format, so that is easier than it may be if you had more experience with it. Do you think that's fair? Mr. Cubone, you still there?
oh yeah, I'm still here. Oh yeah, definitely fair. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun season.
I think that you have the ability to really pick it up and do well throughout the rest of the season. I think that probably getting a few mock games in, like one a week, just to try and get an idea about how a lot of mechanics interact will probably help. And you know what that could help you do? It could help you own the div, and you know, if you're really thinking about who owns the div, obviously it is Robert's Wrath, the Rizux' team. So this team has all four weather setting. No, sorry, all four weathers. I almost said all four weather setting abilities, but there are 4 other weather setting abilities it doesn't have. 3 of which are from Ubers, but 1 is Sandacondas. This team just it has weathers. It has weather abusers. It has Follow Me Raichu and Rage Powder Parasect. Parasect did win Worlds, I think. It won Worlds back in Gen 4. It definitely top 8'd. I always forget which ones top 8 and which ones actually win. But this team just is a lot of offense, and it's a lot of flexibility. But I think it is mostly just speed control. A lot of these mons, if you don't have Sun Up, Charizard Y is not particularly strong. If you don't have Sand Up, Drill's still strong, but if you don't have Rain Up, Poliwrath is not particularly strong. If you don't have Hail Up, Ice Cream and Beartick are not particularly strong. I think that is a concern for this team, and also the other concern I have for this team is that it has a rough matchup into opposing Trick Room. It's mostly just Parasect to try and limit what opposing Trick Room does, plus the Lawn Raichu's Fake Out Follow Me. It's okay, but it's not phenomenal. I think this team is solid, and it has a lot of options, but the options are mostly the same, just with different flavor and just with different type matchups. It's okay, but it's not broken by any means.
Yeah, I mostly agree with the Trick Room aspect. I feel like a lot of the time with dual weather teams, or in this case quadruple weather teams, I feel like they're honestly a lot limited in options. You can do either this or the one thing or a second thing, and there's like very little flexibility.
I think.
I will say this team does look like a nightmare to team build against.
Yes,
Because
yes,
he's the only team with
that's not
11 Pokemon, and he could very easily bring all 11 of them in any match.
Is he actually the only team with 11 Pokemon?
I think he is.
What are you guys doing? Okay, that's nuts.
And also, like, most of the teams, they have, like, 1 or 2, like, mascot Pokemon that they're probably not going to be bringing. Yeah, Riss's team here, he could very easily bring all of them except for maybe Stantler, but
Well,
even
Stantler's
Stantler, I
his
think
only
that...
Intimidate option, so...
Yeah, Intimidate option, so yeah, he could easily bring even Stantler.
Also,
so,
I think it gets Trick Room.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
I learned that. I definitely learned that the hard way.
So we could have some funny Stantler moments this season.
I think I learned that because I drafted it and then said I was going to bring it, and then a league died, and I was very sad. But I don't think it was actually going to bring it. That said, Riz is certainly one to bring more off the beaten track sort of sets. Yeah. I think that Stantler's also good on his team because it does skill swap to allow him to reset weather. As well as, spamming TR. It's not nice. Is there really only one team with 11 mons? That's wild. You guys are right, and I now understand that there is a difference between, like, Drizzle and Drought. Unless I'm the only team in Drizzle with 11 mons. I might be. No, there's one other team in Drizzle with 11 mons, but it was one of the teams I was talking to the person as they were drafting, which skewed my perspective, I think. Yeah.
Also, the other team with 11 mons, one of them is like Drifloon, so I don't see that coming.
Drifloon, Drifloon is, I think, a top tier threat. Realistically, if you're like looking at a team and that they have Drifloon, you know that they're at some point going to click Tailwind with the grassy terrain unburdened, and they'll have a really fast Rillaboom, so it'll be grassy gliding like that.
Also, I just checked. There are 7 teams in Drought with 10 mons, and all of them have a mon that's 2 points or under.
Oh, gosh. Oh no, I'm looking at it, and it's very true. How? Shoutout. Sorry, that's spoilers. We shouldn't be spoiling. Yeah, okay. I didn't realize that this was the only team that had that level of prep flexibility. Also, Beartick can work in 2 of the weathers. I'm just sad that they didn't have Heliolisk who can work in 3 of the weathers, but also they didn't have points, so that's probably good.
Also, it may not be good, but I'm still a big proponent of T-Tar, unnerved T-Tar in Rain.
T-Tar hits hard under Rain.
Choice. Yeah, I mean, it has Surf, it has Thunder.
Surf hits your partners in VGC, but otherwise, yes.
Yeah, that's why you bring out the, doesn't Poliwrath have Water Absorb?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Water Absorb.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, yeah, but it also wants to
you probably want to swim Rain, but you know what? That's fine. We'll run the Water Absorb Poliwrath, and we can bring Victreebel in all honesty, I mean, it doesn't need Synthesis to recover, because it's got Strength Up, I think.
Actually, wait.
I think it does.
Yeah, Parasect has Dry Skin, right?
Yes,
Parasect does Dry Skin, boom.
True. Look, Unnerved T-Tar. I think we all, in our heart of hearts, know that Unnerved T-Tar is the way. It's the truth. Grease is the word. Also, I think it gets... Yeah, and I checked, and Tyranitar does get Muddy Water, which doesn't hit your partner Pokemon. I was pretty sure it did.
Wait, it gets Muddy Water?
Yeah, it also gets Hydro Pump. I believe
why does it
when
get
we first
Muddy
talked about
Water?
It's literally made of rock. All of the water coming out of it's muddy.
It's those Gen 2 mons, they have like weird...
Yeah, Gen 2
moves.
didn't have any TMs that were in the previous
Gen. Yeah, it
gen.
has Muddy Water. Why the hell does it have Muddy Water?
Again, it's made of rock. All of the water's going to be muddy.
And Hydro Pump, God,
like
that's
Golem has Muddy
nutty.
Water.
So special attack Tyranitar, I think, should be the default.
Mystic Tar. That said, Stone Edge is also really strong, and it doesn't have Power Gem. Because they hate Pokemon. I don't understand why they gave nothing Power Gem, but they really gave nothing Power Gem. Hippo also has Muddy Water, but Gigalith doesn't. And I think this is not a sign that's just a sign that they hate Gigalith. Sandaconda doesn't either. I know Silicobra definitely doesn't, because that mon has no coverage. But Sandaconda doesn't either, sadly.
Yeah, the Muddy Water coverage, I don't understand it. I never
Does
understand
Golem
why.
only get it in Gen 2 and not in the current gen? Or... There's the famous animation of Golem using Muddy... Or no, it's Golem using Surf, is it? I don't remember. No, it's Mudslap.
I think
it's Mudslap.
Apparently,
no,
apparently, Licka Licky gets Muddy Water, which is certainly
You say
interesting.
Alolan Golem?
No, Licka Licky gets Muddy
Licky.
Water.
What about Lickitung, the one that was actually drafted? Is it going to be the great? Is it going to be the great equalizer?
Yes, it does. It gets Muddy Water.
Actually, obviously it does. It was the one that was in Gen 2. Licky didn't exist yet. But you know what? I'm going to pretend I'm not stupid. Anyways, I think this team's funny. I think this team is solid. I am honestly surprised that it is the only mon with 11 mons. I think it has 2 mons that are going to come a little bit less often, which is Beartic and Poliwrath. Mostly just because I think the rain mode is the weakest of this team. But I think that it's strong. It's got strong guys, and that's really all you need. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have... I'm struggling here to try and come up with the transition, because I'm not very smart. One of you two come up with the transition to the next team.
Lap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I should go with... I'm feeling really tired right now. I should consider that it should be, bedtime. I was too tired to remember that I was tired. Yeah, so this team
Don't be a
strong
doof.
Pokemon.
Go with the doof.
I think that this team doesn't have a doof. 0 out of 10. I'm surprised this team was above Riz's, because I think I like this team less. But the power rankings have spoken. This team has really awkward speeds. So it's just fast or just slow or Torterra. And as much as the two of you were big fans of Torterra, I believe we saw that it was a Morbius sweep, a Torterra sweep, Rock Polish Torterra every game. It's going to Leech Seed and sub, and it will be unkillable. I am less confident in Torterra coming every game at the very least. And I think Boltund is not very good. I think Greninja Map Block is not real, and thus I don't really know what it does. Greninja's this team's only resist to something. I think it's Ghost. Yeah, it seems like Ghost resist.
Actually, no, it was Ghost. Okay.
No, Melm and Infernape also resist Ice. All 3 of the Ice resist.
Yeah,
I know a fighting move. This team doesn't love matching up into a lot of mons with Ice Punch. Sorry, with Iron Fist. Even though they have the best Iron Fistist. And yeah, Aromatisse is cool. It's pretty solid Trick Room setter. Uxie is cool, and it's a pretty solid Trick Room setter, but I think this team is actually relatively weak to Imprison Trick Room. And I really wish it just had a speed swap mon for Melmetal. I don't think any of the mons it has gets speed swap. Or if it does, Aromatisse might. But I don't think any of the fast mons this team has get speed swap. So Melm is kind of just forced to sit there and take hits, which it can do, but it doesn't love doing. That was basically my concern with this team. I don't think Infernape is very good. I don't think Greninja is particularly amazing. It's fine. It's significantly better than Infernape, I think. Garchomp and Zapdos are really funny next to each other. But, your Ice matchup, your Ghost matchup, you have one Fairy resist. Again, it's Melm. But putting too much pressure on Melm is going to put Melm in a position to break. Also, if Melm is sitting on the field, then the Pokemon in the slot next to Melm can just get hit with a Moonblast or a Play Rough. So I don't love this team, even though it does have a lot of strong components.
So what I do like about this team is Melmetal in general. Just throw Choice Band on it and it just deletes something.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like Melmetal really appreciate. I feel like a lot of Pokemon on the team would appreciate redirection.
A lot of the... Yes, I agree. it would also help set up Trick Room. Obviously, you can't taunt Aromatisse, but you can still Roar or Whirlwind it.
Yeah, or you can just kill it.
Yeah.
It's not that bulky.
Well, I'm more thinking in the context of setting out with an Infernape and like trying to fake out to support Aromatisse. You're at significant risk, I think, of even if you fake out one of their mons that say was trying to fake out the Aromatisse, the other mon there, even if it cannot Oko Aromatisse, and I think a lot of Pokemon struggle to get an Oko into Aromatisse without a super effective stab. But even then, they still have a lot of other forms of disruption that this team will have to worry about. So it struggles, I think, to commit to going hard Trick Room, despite the fact that it doesn't have other great speed control for Melm, because Zapdos is its Tailwind setter, which is fine, just not always the most consistent in games where you're trying to set up Melmetal, because even in Tailwind, Melmetal is not super fast. Fast in a lot of stuff, but it's also slower than a lot of stuff, and basically every Scarfer. Let alone if the opposing team has looked at the fact that your Ice matchup is pretty mediocre and clicked Icy Wind, and then your Melm is functionally just Scarf at that point, and not faster than all that much.
And also, in order to outspeed anything in Trick Room Melmetal, you have to invest into speed heavily, which means you're not going to be as bulky. Like, Melmetal will be missing that special defense investment.
Melm is base 34, yeah?
Yeah, Space 34.
Yeah.
I guess you could do, like, speed investment, then throw on Assault Vest.
I know that, so
but then you're missing the
Amoonguss and
attack.
Snorlax have both had, like, Zoom sets where you run max speed on them. I don't think you run speed boosting nature, but you run, like, max speed on them. And it does tear into their bolt a lot. But, you know, if you're getting the Okos as the trade-off for it, it's good. But I just think that Zapdos is maybe not the most consistent Tailwind setter, and this team may have benefited from having like a Prankster Mon. Again, like it's something like Crobat that can't be faked out. You know, Ghost type Tailwind even. Inner Focus is always a great one. Or like Alakazam has Inner Focus and Speed Swap, and it turns out 120 base speed Melmetal really scary, and that doesn't even mean that you have to compromise on your defense EVs, because you can still run the Trick Room speed investment on it. Hell, you can still run Trick Room on the Alakazam. That's mostly how I'm feeling about this team right now. Well, you know, sometimes you're at that point in life, you know, you're at that point of the evening, more so, where you're on a bit of the calm down, and you need something to help, you know, you need a bit of kick into gear. You need something to help really put you into the process, you know, something to help jolt you awake. So obviously you're
don't jinx it.
You're going to drink a nice glass of Jolteate. It is just an electric eel. That's what Jolteate is. But you know what? I think we've all known that secretly, blue Gatorade has always just been, you know, like ground down Vaporeon. So that's just how it be. This team is strong, but I think it overspent in the wrong places.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um,
and DD, having both Indeedee and Volcarona is absolutely just infuriating. I hate it so much.
I think, well, you know, one of us here has had the honor of building against this team. And what did you identify as the flaws when you were looking at this team in the week 1 matchup?
So, right off the bat, I think Mega Gengar is just not good in draft because, yeah, I mean, it's a strong, hard-hitting, fast mon, but just have a somewhat hard-hitting Choice Scarfer and it one-shots it. Like, whenever I prepped for it, my counter building was I had a Scarf Lunatone that could one-shot Gengar and outspeed it. And now, obviously, it didn't work out for me, but I think that Mega
Sorry,
Gengar
that's spoilers, but yeah,
has some major flaws to it that makes it where spending 25 points for it, not worth it in my mind.
I kind of disagree. I feel like it is.
I don't think that it's the one that I think is the
mon.
problem here.
I think it's just Mega Gengar is really difficult to use properly. You have to be very good with positioning.
Yeah, Mega Gengar is, I think, one of the highest skill ceiling Pokemon in VGC classically, and I think it's probably much the same in Draft, though in Draft opposing teams are more likely to be able to tech on stuff which can I don't think anyone has ever placed high at an event in VGC regular with Shed Shell, whereas people are much more likely to bring Shed Shell against you in Draft, which I think does limit the skill cap, but it's still a very high skill and high skill rewarding Pokemon, as well as being able to late game pretty consistently, because if you get rid of the first two Pokemon, you can just Perish up, and it's fast, so you can sub-protect through the team. But, it's always, I think, being contested. I hate this. What I dislike about this team is that it is literally giving your opponent Psychic Terrain so that they can Expanding Force your own Gengar, or Hawlucha, or Volcarona, even to some extent. Like, Expanding Force is just annoying. You have more control over that, but do you really want to then lead Volcarona as your thing if you're trying to get a nasty plot out with Mega Gengar? Do you want to be leading the Indeedee or the Volcarona as the redirector for Mega Gengar? I'm not sure I love either of them with that option, because, yeah, again, Expanding Force is giving your opponent counterplay to that redirection, and then Volcarona has its own set of issues, notably being faked out. I'd say Glastrier is strong. This team's Trick Room options are strong. Yeah, this team is strong. It just, like, it's very matchup. I hate teams that rely on Silvally to fix multiple type matchups at once. This team's one ground check is Hawlucha. That's not good. So then, what, are they bringing Grass Valley, Bug Valley, Flying Valley on Silvally? Well, then their fairy matchup, of which they have one resist, being Volcarona. Oh no, sorry. It's Volcarona and Gengar. But even then, like, those are both very valuable mods to be trying to force into defensive roles. Though, no, I'm dumb. I'm just reading someone else's list. That said, this ground matchup is pretty bad. And rock matchup's bad. They don't have a rock resist. Yeah, I don't like this team. I don't like this team's, specifically I don't like this team's defensive matchup into stuff. Also, it took me forever to realize that the Joker card is Jinx. I'm slow. I just like, haha, funny Persona reference. I don't know. I like some of the options this team has. I dislike some of the other options this team has. I think Hawlucha, having Tailwind in this format, makes it phenomenally good. I just wish it had a fast speed mon for it to like use coaching to support, because that's one of its best things. Again, is it Silvally? Is Silvally just like your blanket list of this will cover all of the things my team doesn't do currently? I don't think it should be, but it might be. I also don't know why they have the Mulgrim. Don't really benefit that much from dual screens, but I guess it's their fake out mon, because there are the fake out mons in DD. I don't know. How do you guys feel about Silvally?
I think it's like never a threat, honestly. I think it's so overrated in my opinion. Like I feel like you barely need to prep.
But
yeah, you do not need to prep for it a lot. Like despite being any type, it's fairly simple to deal with most of the time.
Unless your team is one where you don't have any real check to a specific type, or you have one specific check to that type, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
But that's just matchup fishing. But you shouldn't be matchup fishing with one.
Screwed.
Yeah, sorry.
In that case, if that's the case, you just lose to one type, then that's just your fault. Make a better team.
Yeah, but I don't know that it's worth 10 points to matchup fish when you have serious weaknesses yourself for this team, being especially that ground weakness, because having a Silvally Bug or a Silvally Grass is, I think, pretty unlikely to be filling in that one slot, and if it's Silvally Flying, you already have a flying type. It's probably stronger. I'm not sure. Hawlucha is not a particularly strong flying type, but Silvally has 95 attack. I think Hawlucha has 112, but I could be
It's 92.
Oh. They're both sad. They're both sad. The difference being that Halucha, though, is more like an animate. They just suck. They both suck. I don't like this team's ground matchup very much. I think this team has a lot of interesting defensive options, but because of the way that it's committed a lot of its expensive points, it's forced to play more offensively than I think this team really appreciates doing. That said, Indeedee's really good, Volcrona's really good, Mega Gengar's really good, Glastrier is really good, Slowbro's pretty solid, and Morcrum is decent. You can definitely pull something out with the team like that. It's just I feel this team overcommitted to its top tiers. Which just gives it really lopsided matchups, and opposing teams with matchup fish mons are scary for it. Also just realized this team has 1 water resist. Maybe the Savali Grass is coming every game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love it. But it's strong, and it's designed to be played with skill expression at a premium. So the next team, I'm not gonna say it's illegal, but the coach may just have a bounty out on them. It's the Straw Hat Rayquazas and Luffy, or Gal. Strong Pokemon, the team. I say that there's a lot of strong Pokemon teams. This team is certainly a team with strong Pokemon, though. Cubes, how do you feel about this?
So, I'm not sure exactly how I feel about this team. I mean, it has a lot of... I both like and don't like Mega Lucario.
Yep, much the same.
Like,
it's a great follow me mon.
It's super hard, but it just dies.
Yep.
And then having Mega Lucario and Regieleki, like those 2 high point mons that both died to Earthquake.
Yep. And their Earthquake checks being Masquerain, Bronzong, and Agialola. Bronzong's really good. Agialola and Masquerain. Agialola's really strong, and its defensive matchup can be relevant for some teams, though I don't think it is amazing on this team. But this team, then again, like this team's ice matchup is pretty decent, which is at least nice for Agialola. But the fairy matchup is, I'd say, more questionable on account of having Bronzong and Growlithe's fairy resists. But Masquerain is just like Intimidate, U-turn. It might have some other support moves. I don't think it gets Helping Hand, but it might.
I think Masquerain a Tailwind. I'm not super sure. I don't.
It does,
it
but
might.
you don't need Tailwind when you have Regieleki.
It does.
They have Regieleki and Suicune, which are 2 phenomenal speed control mons. Absolutely great for Mega Lucario.
Suicune can also bring Tailwind.
Yeah, that's what I meant by when I was mentioning Suicune. Suicune is one of the best Tailwind setters, just period.
Oh no, Masquerain does not get Helping Hand.
Yeah, I didn't think it did. No. It's just like on the
team. The only thing it has going for it is Struggle Bug in terms of support moves.
Damn.
Which is not really cutting it.
Yeah, it's Intimidate. You can throw a Scarf on it with U-turn. I'm pretty sure it gets Hydro Pump as well. I don't think it gets Money Water though. But
it does.
Growlithe may secretly be really good. At least it helps that this is the only mon, like Eviolite, wanting mon on the team. But I don't think this team's great. I don't think Growlithe is great. So I think this team's fairy matchup is really awkward. I think Mega Lucario is a large contribution to that because it's a neutrality that feels like a weakness because it just dies. And then this team's ground matchup is stopping Bronzong from running Heat Proof when their fire resists are Suicune and Growlithe. Like, this team just has a lot of options that are kind of cut off at the head by the other options on this team. However, it's really strong. Like, its support options are phenomenal. Mega Lucario is a mon that can thrive under support. Regieleki is a mon that can thrive under support, at least I hope so, considering I drafted it. Clefable is honestly really strong itself when it's not feeling pressured to be that support mon. Throwing a Life Orb Magic Guard onto it, it does a lot of damage, but also Unaware Follow Me is really annoying for opposing teams to deal with. Suicune's great. Potion Alola is one of the better support mons, especially at that price. 12 is, I think, pretty good for it. Bronzong's great. And Golurk is really strong in very specific matchups. I think it's another mon that kind of works as a matchup fish, where you can probably slap a Scarf on it and have it Poltergeist or like Dynamic Punch mons that are annoying. And it will just be able to pick them off, but it's not going to do a whole lot outside of teams that have a weak matchup to its dual stabs. Is there any other thought process? Yeah, I don't like Mega Lucario at 22. I don't think it's worth it. No.
I hate Mega Lucario so much. It just dies all the time.
Well, we've spoken about things that you hate. Maybe, hopefully, we'll be able to find something you love with the next team. Because it's yours.
Yes.
I hope you like this team. This team's okay.
Yeah, it's very cool.
This team is made of very okay mons that synergize together super well. Obviously, Kamala, absolute steal at 3 points. Realistically, it should have been at least 23. And I think
honestly, no, it should be like 27. Let's be real.
Look, I think that some people might be sleeping on it. I think that obviously there's some counterplay to it and what have you. So maybe not quite 27. It may not be worth more than Mega Gengar, but I think it should be at least worth as much as. So a great round 1 pick, of course. Zeraora, Skyman, funny mythical Pokemon that are about to get their own debut into like regular VGC, which I never would have expected ever, but it's happening. Well, I guess not Skyman because it's not in the gen, but Megros, funny Pokemon, Araquanid, one of I think the best wide guard support mons in the format. That said, another league I'm in, it's like 18 max points, and the Araquanid is 16, and I don't know why.
I don't either.
So I didn't pick it up, but I think Araquanid's good. It's really strong. Water Bubble is broken ability. Gravadrigigis, the Pokemon that you can't trade on the Gen 5 GTS. It's got Trick Room, and Mummy is funny because it's counterplay to opposing Scrappy. If they hit you with a move, then you can intimidate them after. Sylveon's funny because it's really strong. Zygarde, I don't like very much, but it synergizes as well. This team is a team that is designed to deal with wide guard, but also to spam spread moves, which is a really solid combination. I don't think Zoroark's a real Pokemon, and Reboot is significantly better than Zoroark. So,
honestly, true. I feel like Zygarde.
I'm not joking. I've used Reboot before.
I don't like Zygarde a ton. I feel like it's just really underwhelming in power, but it just kind of worked on this team. It just kind of fit.
There's a lot of mons that are on this team, but that I think are sometimes underwhelming, but on this team make a lot of sense together. I think they do a solid amount together. Yeah. But there's no mon that I look at here and I'm like, wow, this team is broken or something. Like this mon is like a thing. I mean, the round 1 was Kamalo, which obviously is the exception to that. But none of these, it feels like you got half of these mons 2 or 3 rounds early, almost. They're good mons, but they feel like it kind of feels like you're lacking a real top tier because Zeraora is funny, but I have very little respect for it at 20 points.
Yeah, I definitely regret not picking Mega Metagross round 2 when it was very much still available.
You have a Boomburst mon?
No. I don't believe so, but there's Metagross Explosion, I guess.
True enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say this team looks like it almost would want a Boomburst to combo with the Zeraora.
That makes sense. It's kind of like Exploud and Electrode, except good.
Yeah.
I don't know what Boomburst you'd get though. I guess you could slap Noivern or Flygon onto the team because you don't need stab on it. But god, Toxtricity would be obscene.
Yeah, actually, Flygon may be better than Zygarde here. Something to think about.
I don't know about that one. I think that the 1000 arrow spam is really good here.
Honestly, the only reason I got Zeraora was to help Kamala with certain matchups. Because, like, even
It
if
lets
it's
you break
not
Skull, right?
stab, even if it's not stab, Electric, Last Resort, Oko's Mega Gengar.
Okay.
It's
So here's
accessible.
my thought process about specifically a matchup in the Mega Gengar. Doesn't Kamala get Zen?
Yeah, it does, I think. I'm pretty sure it
So
does. If
why
it doesn't,
click
it gets
Blastoise
Shadow
fire?
Claw, too.
You know?
I know it gets Shadow Claw. It might not get Zen Headbutt.
Hmm.
No, it gets Knockoff, too, and Sucker Punch.
I
And
did
Zen
also know it got
Headbutt.
Sucker Punch, but it's a Psychic Terrain team with Mega Gengar, so less relevant.
Yeah, sure.
Zygarde is mostly just here for
Oh,
haze support, and Flycon doesn't get haze, so, Zygarde's really providing a crucial thing to the team, sadly. There's no Z Icium to get healed back to full when you click haze, so if you die, you just die. It's very sad. Well, I think we're really getting a deluge of comments and insight here. We have a ton of energy, we're almost electrifying. I would say that we might have, a bit of a thunderstorm on our hands with the rain team, Thunderous, the Locusts, coached by LS. I think it's pronounced like that. It might be like German, where it's like it is or something, where they just say the acronyms as if they're pronouncing a word. Mew's broken. That's what I've heard. Mega Mawile is definitely broken because last season or the season before, I advocated for it being banned. I think the season before, and they didn't ban it, and that was very sad. And played Gen 5 instead. Politoed is the better rain setter than Pelipper, in my personal opinion. Pelipper's Tailwind options are nice. I think it's better in Gen 8 specifically, but not as much in that decks.
I still disagree. Politoed's better.
I don't think, like, when I'm building like a Kingdra team in like the non-max meta or what have you, I use Pelipper because it has Tailwind and extra speed control is more important. But in draft, I think that's less true, and extra power, extra bulk, extra like support options in terms of like helping hand and stuff for damage output, hypnosis as well, I think is a bit better. Thunstrong, probably. Barrascuda ignores redirection, which is actually quite nice for this team because it doesn't like opposing setup very much. Sneasel is one of the best support mons in the format. Ridiculously underpriced. I think Weavile costs more, which doesn't make sense because Sneasel is just better Weavile because it has access to inner focus and Weavile has pressure instead. Slowbro Galar is broken. Sentret's funny. I drafted it in BDSP. I think it came to team preview 3 times. It hit the field once and it clicked Helping Hand and died. But it has Follow Me, therefore it must be good. Chatot would be great if this team had Zeraora. Seismitoad, good rain sweeper. I think it's probably one of the best rain sweepers, especially in the current format. However, this team is a rain team that's weak to water because it doesn't have a Kingdra to Forex resist. Like, it's got Politoed. And then Seismitoad is neutral and Barrascuda is frail.
Yeah, I feel like one thought, I feel like the support aspect, it kind of relies on Mew a lot of the time to fill that.
How so? I mean, I think this team has a lot of good support mons. It's got Mew, right, which is a good support mon. It's got Politoed, great support mon. It's got Sneasel, which is a great support mon. It's got Galabro, which is a great support mon. And it's got Sentret, which is a support mon on paper. I think Mew gives this team a lot of flexibility because there are matchups that it would feel weak into, but gets better off because of that. Because of Mew's flexibility. But otherwise, I just think it's decent. I certainly don't think this team is lacking support. I think this team is lacking a grass type.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Cubone, what are your thoughts on the rain team, being that you are the resident weather expert with your Sun team?
Okay, so with this team, I think it really wants a Ferrothorn.
I don't think Ferrothorn is available, sadly.
It is.
It is?
I'm pretty sure I checked
Did it
yesterday.
get dropped in
It is.
Grace? It
Yeah,
may well.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think it
Earththorn
did.
is available, so I don't know
I don't know
what
how you could afford
to
this
drop to
team.
move around to get the points, but I think that Ferrothorn would really be nice in this team because there is a nice trick room setup, you know, with you can set up a Slowbro G.
It's a pretty decent one.
And Mawile likes trick room.
Yeah.
I think that the Ferrothorn, I'm not sure how you'd get the points for it. To have to, you know, compromise, but yeah, definitely a
you drop,
Ferrothorn.
like
Probably
Barraskewda
drop
and
Bearskew and Shoutout probably for Ferrothorn on the 1-pointer.
But I think this team does lose a lot of its immediate damage output without Barraskewda.
Yeah.
Because this
I mean,
team's
there's a
immediate damage
Mawile,
output
but,
are
like,
Mawile, Thunderous, and Barraskewda. And then Seismitoad is damage output in rain, but the other three are immediate damage output, period. Unless obviously you're running Thunder without rain, or Weather Ball, you know. Then that's less consistent on Thunderous. But Mawile and Barraskewda are just immediately powerful. I used Barraskewda without rain, and it was okay.
I'm pretty sure Thunder's is definitely better than Bearskew without rain. Like, more immediately
Like I said,
power.
unless you're running Thunder, specifically, was what. I think three of them are decent immediate power, but I think only having two mons with immediate power is not as good. Seismitoad is great, but very conditionally reliant on having immediate power, and Mew gets a lot of power if it sets up, or if it's like a 4-attack set, but that is compromising on a decent bit of what Mew can do otherwise. So that's my concern if they like went out for Ferrothorn, but there might be other mons of a similar nature that they'd be able to work in. I'm not sure. Obviously, the job here isn't really to tell them what to do. It is more to look at what we think is missing from this team, and I just think a solid response to an opposing team who has just a water because they wanted a water, and that water happens to have Swift Swim, would be nice. But I think this team's really solid, really strong, and it can easily overwhelm other teams. Our next team is by a great contributor to WPF. I believe they've done a lot of assistant with dock work in the past, and as far as I'm aware, still this season. Honestly, all around great contributor to, I think, the Draft League community more broadly. We have Autumn and the choice Spectrias. And this team's just like kind of broken. It's got Marshadow and Spectria together because, you know, if you have one Ghost check, which a lot of our teams, well, a few of the teams so far kind of had, it's probably not beating either of them, let alone both of them. It's got Bishop for Snarls.
Aren't Ghost checks, almost all Ghost checks don't beat Marshadow in the first place.
Absolutely true.
Just because
Turns out
it's
Ghost Flight is
privileged.
broken.
Marshadow is just a privileged Pokemon in general.
Marshadow is just nuts. It's just absolutely insane. I picked up Autumn in Fantasy. I think I picked up like 2 or 3 teams in Fantasy in this div, but I don't remember who. I remember by accident looking and then realizing there were like 2 or 3 divs I hadn't picked up anyone in, and then I picked up like 2 people in Drizzle and then 2 people in Steel, 2 people in Drought. I just don't remember which one that wasn't Autumn because I didn't put them on my team. I like Autumn's team a lot. I have Class Score as well. I think it's decent. Adding a Hail Pocket is always nice. Octozolt, Bolt Beam coverage. What was the meme? Was it like 15 points or something? It should be at least. That said, major concern we have with this team was that it is weak to spread moves, especially Dazzling Gleams, and then spread ground moves, be it Earthquake or 1,000 Arrows or the other one. I think there's another signature move that isn't Zygarde that is a spread ground move.
Yeah, I feel like that was very apparent in the week 1 matchup, just because
spoilers. We pretend week 1 does not happen.
It was me and like I have Zygarde and Sylveon.
Yeah.
And that just happened.
I don't think this team has a wide guarder. The fact that
It doesn't.
its only fairy resists are Jirachi and Quillfish. I think Quillfish is not a mon I'd pay 8 points for. I mean, I literally just drafted Quillfish in a Gala Dex league, but mostly because I really, really wanted Intimidate. And as much as this team appreciates Intimidate, I don't think it actually cares that much, because it just wants to do damage, and limited damage mitigation through bringing Quillfish over Alolan Ninetales, over Follow Me Gerard. Like, any of the ones you slot out on a team for Quillfish, I think is going to make this team not doing great, so this team's fairy matchup, I think, is pretty suspicious. It's just Jirachi, and Jirachi's broken because of its support options, not its offensive options. I think if Marshadow had Sword Stance, this team would be absolutely absurd, but sadly it only gets Bulk Up.
Yeah, I don't want this. I do not want Marshadow to get Sword Stance. That's just
You're right.
terrible.
It needs it needs Belly Drum, except because it's a Ghost type, it doesn't actually take damage when it Belly Drums. Yeah, that's what we need.
Even if it did take damage, it just clicks Shadow Sneak and kills everything, and
Also
then
has
Drain Punch. It just clicks Shadow Sneak and Drain Punch and kills absolutely everything.
So, Q's, my friend, once more, you are our resident weather expert. How do you feel about this Hail team?
Well, Arctozolt is a kind of a funny mon that misses whenever it goes Hustle, and then with Slush Rush,
It doesn't get
I don't
Hustle.
know.
It doesn't get Hustle, that's just straight
It doesn't?
Soul.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes so okay.
I think it's like Volt. I
It's
think
Volt
it's
Absorb.
Absorb, Slush
Oh,
Rush,
Voltorb
and
static. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like this team.
Oh yeah, it's
there are just some mons where like I'm not sure if it's worth that many points. Gruvile's a mon that it's a 1-pointer. I'm not sure if it's ever going to be brought.
Well, you see, if they knock off your Eviolite, you then get the Unburdened Speed Boost. I think Grovyle has like a usable special attack stat and is like 105 speed or something. So like, it could come.
I think
It's
maybe
85
like
and
against like
95.
grassy terrain teams, like you go like Grassy Seed and then maybe do some silly things.
Yeah, look, it might wind up just being a tech piece for an opposing Rillaboom, because I think it might get Acrobatics. I don't know.
It does. It has 65 attack though.
It's not like it's just a tech piece. I
Yeah.
think that's all it can really function as. And like, I don't know, it's a 1-pointer, right? I think Bishop is probably the mon that we should be dedicating more conversation to on account of it being 12 points, and similarly just kind of a tech PC sort of mon. It's not really. It had its heyday in Gen 5, but when it lost Dark Gem, it's not really getting Okos as much with Sucker, even at +1, even at +2 from Defiant. So often you're needing to Swords Dance plus get a Defiant boost to really get Okos with Sucker. Otherwise, trading 80% of a mon sucks, but trading 80% of a mon for 100% of the opponent's mon is generally going to be worth it. And that's something that a lot of opposing mons can do with Bishop. This team's Ice matchup is really good, so Gliscor should be good in it, but my team's Ice matchup was also good, and my opponent bought like 6 Ice moves for Gliscor on my team, so who knows? Some people just really don't want Gliscor to succeed in the world,
Can I just say, like, why are all the teams with 2 Steel types weak to Fairy?
It's a very interesting question. Probably because they don't
Yeah,
draw
like,
fires.
hey, Autumn's team super weak to Fairy, Luffy's team is pretty weak to Fairy.
Well, wait, is Luffy's team the Infernape one?
Yeah, no, it's the Lucario one. The Mega Lucario.
Yeah, well, its fire type is Growlithe.
Yes.
I think.
Also, I just really don't like Gliscor on this team because Alolan Ninetales sets up Pale, which means that Blizzard one-shots Gliscor with 100% accuracy.
Okay, so I have 2 comments there. 1, I actually don't think a Blizzard, unless it's stab boosted and possibly also item boosted, will actually Oko Gliscor. 2, why would you bring Blizzard against this team? If they don't bring Hail, it's not going to hit anything, and if they don't bring Gliscor, all of their Pokemon resist or are neutral to Blizzard.
I mean, fair.
I mean, this is the thing I was just saying, is like, I have a team that's not very ice weak, but my opponent brought a bunch of ice moves specifically to deal with my Gliscor. If your opponent preps really hard for Gliscor, it sucks for them if you don't bring it, but it's good for them if you do. That's really annoying. Yeah. I think Gliscor is really solid, though, because it can just kind of sit there, click Sand Tomb, and maybe Toxic, and, like, between Roost and Taunt to Protect, it wears down opposing teams pretty reliably. Unless they bring ice moves. And it can roost on a lot of ice moves, but not all of them. And also not ones that are faster. I think it gets Tailwind as well, but I didn't need it in my game, so I didn't actually check. I think it's good though. I think Gliscor is fundamentally like decent. I think it synergizes decently on this team. I guess an opposing team that is like a weather team, so they're running Weather Ball, can use Hail Weather, but you probably wouldn't have Gliscor in a team of 4 with both of the Hails, with Ninetale and Lola, unless you thought that behind an Aurora Veil, which is definitely not going to die to Blizzard behind, it could
also,
set up.
Gliscor does have Tailwind.
Yeah, cool. I can't imagine you have this in the same set of 4 with Lola Ninetales unless you think it can set up and win because of Veil. And if it can do that, then it can do that, you know. Soul Stand's Facade, and, well, it's either Earthquake or Sand Tomb, so it's probably Sand Tomb. It's still strong. Team's ground matchup isn't great. It is just Gliscor. Like, it's technically also Grovile, but they're still weak to ice, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, and then, yeah, I mean, we talked about the fairy issue as well. It's just what it is. I was saying this team is annoyed by some opposing priority, especially if the Mars Shadow is not, like, item boosted. Like, yeah, Alola Ninetales gets bopped by Bullet Punch, and, like, a Mega Lucario Bullet Punch is nothing to scoff at for most of these months, in general. I think that's the other thought I had previously. But I think this team, in general, fundamentally very strong. But it will run into some bad matchups. So, you know, sometimes you feel a bit bad when you're criticizing other teams. You know, you might feel like maybe you're casting some shade. But you know what, Houston, we have a team. I don't know. This team's really annoying. This team is incredibly annoying to deal with. This team has Riolu, which has Pranks to Follow Me, which means that if your Follow Me, like your Fake Out user is a like Trick Room mon, Follow Me will go before Fake Out, because it will be in the same priority bracket with Prankster, which is annoying in and of itself. Obviously, coaching is really strong. This team has Goth, which is ludicrously annoying to deal with as someone who has just played against a Goth. The amount of control it puts on your team building is obnoxious. Imagine if they gave Mega Gengar Fake Out, you know? And then Rapid Shifu, Mega Diancie, Dragonite, Crocodile, and Magnezone are all very strong, and Fletchling is a very solid support mon at 4 points with the Gale Wings Tailwind. Just a strong team of strong Pokemon designed to do strong stuff. That said, I think the concern we had was that if this team does wind up on the back foot, it struggles to recover and get back on the front foot, and it, to some extent, struggles to follow through in the first place. I think that was you guys' criticism, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, very much.
I remember I remember Pumpkin, you were particularly critical of Shade's team.
Yeah, I don't really like this team a ton.
Do you want to elaborate for the audience?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit biased because I don't like a lot of the mons here.
Yeah.
Particularly Gothitelle. I
remember you
think
said,
all of these mons just seem underwhelming to me.
so even like Rapid Shifu and Mega Diancie.
Not Rapid Shifu.
Okay.
That one's great, but like everything else just seems a bit underwhelming.
To be honest, I think Crocodile sucks. But
I
the rest of the team I think
agree.
is pretty good. I think, yeah, Rapid Shifu is really strong. Gothitelle is incredibly difficult to prep against. Mega Diancie is obnoxiously strong, and it does have clear body pre-Mega Evolution, so that it can deal with like Intimidate or Snarl in really annoying ways. The fact that it has obnoxious bulk before Mega Evolving is also annoying, because it still is bulky after. Dragonite is really strong. I've literally, like in VGC even, seen it just sit and roost in front of an Ice Beam Mon and just stole it out of like ice options and wear it down. I think it was stalling it out of terrain turns, to memory. But yeah, and then it's just like Crook. Not super great, but you know, it's whatever. Riolu, phenomenal support Pokemon. Magnezone, really solid. I think it's decent for 9 points. It's quite good. Iron Defense, Body Press, or just regular special offense are all really good. And the fact that you have a secondary option to trap will honestly pressure, I think, a lot of opposing steals into running Shed Shell, which, if there's a mon that you want the opposing team to have the thing on, when you're a team with Rapid Shifu, you're probably fine with it being on the Steel type. Does that make sense? Cubes, what are your vibes on this team?
So I really like this team. I think Dragonite is maybe even undervalued. 14 points for Dragonite, I think, is kind of a steal.
Yeah. In Focus and Multiscale are both amazing abilities.
It has Tailwind, so Dragonite can very easily... I think it's one of the better Tailwind setters, at least the non-Prankster ones.
Yeah, I mean, it has Inner Focus. That's it, it's great.
Inner Focus, and if you don't have to worry about Fake Out, you can just throw on Multiscale, and you're not going to die to a single hit.
And it's so strong.
I think Magnezone for 9 points is almost a steal.
Almost a steal.
I think Magnezone is just really good Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say Magneton is a better Pokemon for value, but Magnezone is really good. Riolu is a kind of... I don't know how I feel about Riolu, though. Like, I know it's Prankster, he's a good Pokemon, but...
It also has the other ability that we talked about, which I have immediately forgotten.
Inner Focus.
Yeah, it also has Inner Focus, which is just...
Yeah, but if you're
so annoying.
doing Inner Focus Riolu, you're kind of like, what are you doing, mate?
Well, I'm kind of playing Fake Out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's Inner Focus allows you to have even more consistent. Like if you look at an opposing team and you see that. Well, I think generally it's if you are running Focus Sash, you kind of want to be Inner Focus, whereas if you're running Eeviola, you kind of want to be Prankster. I think is more my thought process put into it. I also think Shinx is useful.
I think we may be sleeping on the Mega Diancie as well.
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't intend to sleep on Mega Diancie. That mon is incredibly powerful.
It's a Diamond Storm. It hits. Does it have like a double chance to proc for the defense?
It
buff?
can only proc once, but it does have twice the chance to.
So 75% chance every single turn to buff its defense.
Slightly
basically.
less because of the miss chance, but yeah.
Nutty.
Look, you can slap Body Press on it, and it already has 110 base defense, and it turns out Body Press is strong into a lot of the steals that you are generally trying to switch in, or are switching in after it's KO'd the mon that it trapped in with Gothitelle. You know, it does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage. I think that this team's really strong.
I will say on the downside, Swalot is kind of a WTF mon that I'm not sure is going to be any use.
I did see someone win a
is...
game with Swalot recently, just because the opposing team didn't respect it, so they brought like... It wasn't a team with a Rapid Shifu, obviously, because they didn't bring a Psychic move on their team, or a Ground move on the team, and then... Or I think they brought a Ground move, but it was Earthquake, and then it just like sat there, clicked Stockpile a couple of times, and then Toxic through the rest of the opposing team. So it's not a mon that you can ignore, but it's probably not the best mon for 3 points. I think we've seen a couple 2-pointers that I think are better than Swallow. Fletchling's good, and Shinx at least has Intimidate. I mean, it's just so terrifying, right? Like, Shinx is like nightmarish. I'll never understand ability distribution in Pokemon. And you know what? That makes me seem like... I think it makes me seem a bit like, a potato. This team's funny. This team is designed around the incredible synergy between Landorus T, Earthquake, and Tapu Fini Telepathy. Or something. I think this team picked up Lando in Grace Period, because it got dropped. Which is funny.
I think so. Honestly, Landorus T, Tapu Fini, and Mega Managers is literally just a VGC like 2018 team.
Yeah.
And also for good reason, because it's a broken fair.
And Raichu.
Or,
Probably less with
agree.
Landorus, but Raichu did a lot. These mons are good. G-King is probably really good. I haven't necessarily seen it do insane amounts, but there's no way it's bad at 10 points. And Taz T is fine 11. Regen's still funny. It's still got a lot of support moves. I believe it is especially important, and that is Icy Wind. Raichu is a great fake out Lightning Rod mon, but it also has Follow Me in this format, which is nice. Sceptile is Unburden, and I think probably, bear with me on this, a little bit better than Grovyle.
Yeah, marginally.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's good, but
It's fine at
maybe
5.
just be sleeping on it.
It turns out that being faster than the opposing team when the opposing team has speed control means that there's a decent amount of disruption you can do. Turtwig is probably not a real mon, sadly. Magmortar is also as Follow Me, but is also incredibly strong. And I think having the flexibility to not run Follow Me on Raichu / Magmortar and be able to run all the other, to be able to threaten it, but then also just use them for the fact that they are individually decently strong Pokemon is great for this team. It, I think, increases my perspective on it. Also, this team isn't weak to Fairy. It feels like it's been ages since we've seen a team that isn't weak to Fairy.
So I think a big sin for this team is that they went with Turtwig instead of Grotle.
Grotle was like 4
Because
points.
Grotle is... Was it 4 points? That was...
Was it 1?
That was a 1-pointer.
I don't know. I'm used to singles where it is relatively more expensive.
Grotle is a 1-pointer. So
What
they
the
could have
hell?
had Grotle, which is actually usable. I mean, not great, but like throw an Eviolite on it, and there's no other Eviolite slot. I mean, something. With Turtwig's actual dead weight of Grotle, it would be a option.
I think that is probably not that much that Grotle can do that Turtwig can't. It's just that Grotle does it better.
But Magmortar for 9 points, I like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think what it would do. Like, Grottles would just sit there and click like Leech Seed.
Leech Seed Toxic. Actually, doesn't Grotle have like a decent attack stat?
Yeah, it's like
oh,
an
okay. 89, so yeah. But, man,
honestly, stockpile Grotle is really good, honestly.
But Turtwig can
It
do it
just
as
can't-
well, but be funny.
Yeah, but
Grottle's also kind of
Yeah,
funny.
just
I mean,
listen.
bringing Grotle.
Again, too used to seeing it
Yeah,
in singles.
it-
Can't think of it as the
yeah.
Tecmo.
GM better, but you just cannot get credit.
Wasn't Grotle in like NU a couple gens back? Basically, it's basically like being like, oh, I'm using this funny Tecmon, Lando T, you know. Whereas Turtwig is funny because it's been terrible every gen in LC until they make like LCPU, then it can be okay. Probably not. It's a lot of grass types. I don't know. This team's okay. The team is strong. Mega Metagross I hate because it misses moves, but everything else is good. I guess I hate Taunty missing moves as well. It just does it less. Because it's going to be clicking moves less often. Yeah, sorry. This team is really good at preserving the game state. So when, like, we talked about, like, teams getting pushed on the back foot, this team is really good at recovering from being pushed on the back foot. Lando T, great way to do that. G-King has recovery, which is a great way to do that. Raichu has Follow Me with Static, which is a thing I forgot to mention. And then Magmortar with Flame Body, which means that they're Follow Me mons that can actually punish the opposing Pokemon that are winding up clicking moves into them. And Mega Metagross Bullet Punch with Tough Claws is, like, at the very least, an out against Trick Room, you know? And yeah, basically all of their mons are super versatile. Like, they can be a win condition, they can be a breaker, they can be a, like, pure support option. I think Feeny and Lando, the main examples of that. But it's still true for Mega Metagross, for G-King, for Raichu, for Magmortar. This seems okay. It's pretty good. It's really hard. Alright, so just a content warning. Get any children out of the room if you do, because there is some really disturbing news that I will have to bring to your attention. Unfortunately, it seems as if Drought has been infiltrated by an anime fan. Not just that, but they seem to be down bad. That's it. Their team, I would be down bad for. It's pretty strong. Whimsicott and Fletchinder, both for the priority tail end. A couple strong Pokemon. And Blastoise. And Scraggy. Scraggy is like Blastoise if Blastoise was good. I don't like this. I don't know. It's like I do and don't like this team. I don't like this team's redundancy, but it's so strong. It's a really strong team. What are you guys' thoughts?
This team, Jeff, definitely just feels like a break your opponent or get broken team.
You know, I want to break it. How about I give you one?
Defense properties really aren't great.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, they're usable with on-goal Whimsicott, but they're not amazing.
Yeah, like,
I don't like Blastoise that much as a redirector.
It just feels like it's a really frail team.
It's like all of its mons will take one hit, right? Circuitry is really tanky. Mega Gallade is really tanky on the Spadef side, and still okay on the Fizdef side. Blastoise is just tanky. Landoi can generally take non-ice move and non-boosted stab water move. Alright. Corporage is deceptively bulky with its really high HP stat, even though it has bad defenses. And then they do have damage mitigation in that Scraggy. And theoretically, dual screens Bronzor. Woo-woo.
So this makes me sad that Bronzor lost Psywave, because Bronzor is a mon that I really want to be usable, but Game Freak goes out of its way to make it unusable.
The only thing only time I've used it to affect post Psywave was it was a Wall to Roxeus, and Roxeus isn't in the format, so I don't know. I don't think Bronzor's great here, and I think that
it doesn't even get Body Press, which if it got Body Press, I think it would be a better mon.
Doesn't it have like 68 defense or something? No, it's got like
86.
86, yeah. I remember it had sub 100. That was more than I really remembered. Yeah, you can't like Iron Defense Body Press with it. Same thing with Ferroseed, but I think it's a lot rooted to Ferroseed. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems just like it's okay. It's not great. It's great. Like it's strong. It's really strong. Scraggy and Whimsicott are great support. I don't know why this team has Fletchinder when it has Whimsicott. But Mega Gallade is really strong. Landorus is really strong. Circuitry is really strong. Porygon Z is really strong. And I guess like Gallade Justified technically is counterplay to Snarl. I don't know if it's great counterplay to Snarl, but I suppose it technically is. Porygon Z, Bronzor, and Gallade are their Trick Room setters. Realistically, I think that's more Porygon Z and Bronzor are their Trick Room setters. They're all fine. I guess Gallade has Inner Focus Trick Room, which is alright. The Trick Room mode is a bit underdeveloped though, because it is just Porygon Z. It's Bronzor and Cobraja and Scraggy, which are all okay, but like Bronzor isn't really a fighting check. Copperage and Scraggy are both weak to fighting. Their fighting checks are all pretty fast move mons. That's basically my thought process on this team. That's why it's in 4th. I mean, it's just such a low rating or something. I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, they watch anime, so they're probably going to go 0-9. They'll probably be too busy.
May have to rethink this, put this on bottom.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
look, they're going to go 0-9. They'll be too busy watching Jujutsu Kaisen or something. They'll be keeping up with the new Hunter x Hunter releases, you know. I don't even know all of these characters, but I think one of them isn't even from anime. But I can't tell if they're from Genshin or from Toho. I think Genshin though.
Probably Genshin. There's a lot of overlap.
Yes, but the difference between Toho and Genshin is Toho is actually Japanese, whereas Genshin's not. It's also 2 Tohos. One of them is Godzilla, and the other one is Reimu Hakare. That said, you know, if they bring the guy with the gun to a game, or the chick with the gun, guns are about as strong as Pokemon. Slightly weaker, but about as strong.
Wait, in the top left corner, I think that's from Rent Girlfriend.
Yes.
That's down bad.
That is probably one of the, like, the epitome of a lot of the worst trends of waifu anime. Meanwhile, they have Yor, who's an adult woman. It's probably the first time in a decade that anime fans have actually been interested in an adult. It's impressive. It really shows character growth. You know what? I think this conversation and review is starting to go downhill. Perhaps we should consider skiing or dying. I like the suggestion that the logo gives. It's good advice. This team is so strong. This team is absurdly strong. God, this team is strong.
I mean, yeah, it definitely is strong.
So, Mega Blastoise with Terrain Pulse is obnoxiously powerful. Tapu Koko is okay. It's not amazing, but you know, it's pretty decent. Mian Chao, really solid fast fake out. If you're not worried about opposing fake out, you don't even have to run inner focus. You can run one of its offensive boosting Reckless or defensive boosting the other one, Regen. Mamoswine, it's absurdly strong. Corviknight, really decent. Late game win condition, because this team is not weak to fire at all. Their only fire weakness is technically Trevenant, if the Mamoswine is Thick Fat. So, like, you know, pretty well. Doing pretty well with that. And then electric-wise, it is Blastoise, who is also the abuser of electric moves anyway. So, it's pretty good. Reuniclus is one of the best Trick Room setter abusers, like in terms of compartmentalizing that role. Magmar, great redirector. Ferret is probably fine. I actually think it's probably worse than Sentret because you're paying more, but you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Magmar is strong, and being a redirector, it's nice to have that flexibility because you can slap a Heat Wave or a Fire Blast onto it out on a turn, and it just stops you being passive. Trevenant, it's not great. Good fly. It's probably not great. I think Trevenant's just too fast for a mon that's mostly there to set Trick Room, but too slow to do much else. Yeah, I mean, this team's okay. It's really strong. I don't have a lot of yeah, it's got a lot of distinct win conditions, right? So you can win with Koko, or you can win with like Mega Blastoise, or you can sit there with Koko and click Nature's Madness to chip their like ground check or ice check in range of Mamoswine, or you can use dual screens to like get your Corviknight in a position that it can win with Power Trip, or you can set Trick Room up with Reuniclus and blitz through a team.
Or set Tailwind and just one-shot everything with Mamoswine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Mamoswine's one-shotting stuff as much, but
Let's throw a expand on it.
It's only two-shotting basically everything. I remember there was a great Mamoswine Moltres team. It's just really difficult to check grounded ice. Yeah. But what are your thoughts, Pumpkin?
Yeah, I really haven't said much, have I? I don't really have. I don't really see any major weaknesses of the team. I think everything's really well covered,
Absolutely.
honestly. And I don't have much more to say than that. It's just very, very solid team.
The only criticism I have is maybe having a second Trick Room compatible mon would be nice. As it stands, you're kind of like, oh, do I maybe consider running room service on a mon or something? But that's still fine, I'm sure. Iron Ball,
Yeah,
Power Nickel, whatever, room service, Trevenant is fine as a secondary option.
Yeah,
I mean,
one
Trevenant's
more.
not that fast though. It's like 56 speed.
Yes, 56 is... I was criticizing the mons that were base 40 speed for being too fast. I think 56 is much too fast, but specifically for a mon that is also setting Trick Room, because, you're getting one less action.
One more complaint I just noticed, a slight one. I really like Blastoise having like a low tier redirector, but like Magmar and Ferret, but you do not need both. Why do you need both Magmar and Ferret?
So that you can redirect for Magmar. I don't know, I don't think Ferret's good. I don't know why they have it. Magmar's good. I guess they're concerned about their Ghost weakness, because they don't have a Dark type, so Ferret's just here to ward off Ghost type attacks, which makes some sense. I think the idea is that Magmar is here to ward on like fast mode redirect, and then Ferret's here to slow mode redirect.
I don't think Ferret's that.
It's not slow.
Ferret is pretty. I'm pretty sure Magmar is
has 90
faster
speed.
than. Yeah, Ferret has 90 speed. Magmar's 93.
Ferret is clicking follow me and then helping handing. Magmar is actually clicking moves.
Yeah, but doesn't Magmar also have helping hand?
It has helping hand and follow me. It also has helping hand and follow me.
I don't know. I don't know why Ferret's on this team.
And also like just better support moves overall, and better offensive moves, and better offensive stats.
Magmar is broken. I don't know why Ferret costs 7 points.
Yeah, Magmar's broken. Let's be honest.
No, I mean,
I think Magmar is actually better than Magmortar.
I picked it up in a different league, and like
honestly,
round 6.
I agree. Magmar's really good.
I think it's round 6 mon. It's very good.
QD Fly for 1 point though. What a steal.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Shield Dust, which is better inner focus. Especially when I found out that Shield Dust works on Stench and Poison Touch. Which I think...
Also Sweep Ale, if you're against a Spore team.
That's true, that's true. Look, it's got annoying attacks. Or Honey Gather, if you just don't have enough honey, Sometimes you just need more honey. Yeah, it's funny. I think that, sometimes you really have to consider the economy aspect of it. Qtfly is a great example of this, and another great investment is NFTs, or non-failing symbol tokens, as owned by Twrs, TWRS, I'm not sure. Or it'd be Twars, if we were going with the German thing. This team is broken strong. Every mod on this team is just like obnoxious, except... No, every mod on this team is just obnoxious. I was going to slander Electivire, but I've decided not to.
They do not slander Electivire. Electivire is goated.
No, I think Electabuzz is better than Electivire, but...
I disagree with that one. I think Magmar is better than Magmortar. I don't think Electabuzz is better than Electivire.
You're losing me on this one. I don't think Magmar is better than Magmortar, but I think Electabuzz is better than Electivire. Because I think the speed difference is a lot more relevant. 83 to 93 is not as big as 95 to 105. Or 103,
I just like
7, something.
I think Flame Body is just much more valuable of a difference than
Static?
Static.
Why?
I
think Motor Drive is very good. If it was Lightning Rod, I would agree with you, because it's redirected, but it's not, so... I mean, this team's, it's really strong. Its damage output is obnoxious. It has really good sustain as well, with Rillaboom, with, Tornite as disruption, with Persian as disruption, with Premier as well. And I think the only real criticism with it is, despite the fact that this team is really good at stopping opposing teams from setting up Trick Room, if they do get up Trick Room, it can be a bit of a concern. So, I think during, your Dynamax era where you could, like priced a copycat Trick Room, that'd be a concern. But you can't really do that right now, so I'm not sure. Like, this team just doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of weaknesses unless you have like a perfect defensive matchup into their package, or Wheezing. Like, but no one does. It's like no one drafted Neutralizing Gas. Neutralizing Gas is, I think, quite annoying for this team. But otherwise, yeah, this team's really strong. I just love basically all these mons. Urshifu's broken, Rillaboom's broken. I mean, getting round 2 Rillaboom is just, like, I don't... I couldn't get it, like, in mid-round 1, let alone round 2. Heatran is phenomenal.
Pretty sure it was like it was like late round 2 as well. It was like 5th pick overall.
Oh my god, how? It went like pick 6 in Drizzle. Pain. I wanted to get Rillaboom, Cinderace, and Inteleon, but instead I had to get not that. Come check the draft breakdown to see what I actually got. I haven't actually like recorded it yet, but I will one day, I promise. Yeah, no, I think this team's good. Like, it just is very difficult to play around. This is like the definition of like an autopilot team with room for skill expression. Like, this team just does work, and then you can outplay your opponent and outprep your opponent on top of just having a team that's really strong. It's got diversity of options with obnoxious power. I suppose if there's nothing else to say besides this team is really good but doesn't have a slow mon, we can move on.
Yeah, I will say, again, I think this team really wants Electabuzz over Electivire. They should make that swap. I mean,
Why?
Electabuzz is 1 point cheaper, has the same special attack, it's faster, it's bulkier, isn't really competing with the Eviolite slot because Mischievous, I mean...
I actually think Mischievous is alright.
He's honestly a really good lure here, in my opinion.
But also, Static is just a way better ability than Motor Drive for your redirector.
I mean, Motor Drive is honestly kind of good for this team, considering it does not. Yeah, Grenade is a little bit. No, it's not really Electric, but like Tornadoes and Primary are appreciated.
Motor Drive also.
Yeah, but Tornadoes and Primary are appreciated.
I think they appreciate Nidoking and Rillaboom more, but you know. Yeah, this team's good. It's really, really, really good. And you know what? On top of that, we have to look. I think, you know, as that great meme last year threw around, you know, the 3 things that it's hard for someone to say. I'm sorry. I was wrong. And Leicester. Lycanrocs. Coached by Etesian.
Nailed it. First try.
Yep.
Nice job.
So this team is like, hey, Mr. Opponent Friend, what if we just didn't let you make decisions that impact the flow of the game?
This team does not look fun to play against.
Yeah.
It has like all the annoying mons.
It has all of the annoying mons. It has really good speed control and great ways to benefit from it. It has really, like, it's disruption. Like, I remember I was first talking to Etesian when they picked Mega Kang, and I'm like, okay, what we basically want to do is we want to look at Chalk, which was the classic Cresselia, Heatran, Amoonguss, Landorus, Kangaskhan team, and we want to basically do that, but with different mons. So, you know, the concept of a Cresselia, Necrozma is, I think, probably better than Cresselia. It's strong, but still has a lot of the support options that Cresselia does, as well as being able to recover and win itself. You know, we want that damage mitigation, so there's him on top, who is not only that Intimidate option, but also a secondary Fake Out, and it's really strong with Technician. We want that Sleep option that Amoonguss provided, along with Rage Powder. That's what Tangle is doing. There isn't really a one-to-one replacement for Heatran, so there's just a couple mons. I think Togekiss is mostly the Heatran replacement of just a mon that kind of sticks around and does absurd amounts of damage, but it also provides redirection for the team, and tailwind sets for the team, but it's just strong. And Sharpedo is a really funny tech mon that I think is probably quite good, as Cavalier's absurdly good anti-trick room. It's really good. I like this team a lot. It has so much immediate power, and it has so many ways to enable setup and then set up effectively. But it's just really hard to deal with, I think. I think it's going to be very difficult for opposing teams to build around, and has a really high potential for player expression. That said, Artesian's not played VGC like a full league before, so their inexperience may reflect in them performing less well in this team, because there are some absolutely phenomenal VGC players in this league, but they certainly have a team that's set to allow them to succeed. Any comments, guys?
Yeah, really pretty good.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know why. This team does not feel like a first seed team, but it just is. There's nothing better than it. It just doesn't feel like it.
I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of Mons went in round 1 and 2 to really, like, there's no team that you just look at it and like, wow, these things, these Mons are just like the best synergy ever, and it's impossible to ever defeat this team. That also then followed up on it in later rounds, because there are a couple of teams that have those strong early synergy that just did not follow up on it, and that have like really crippling weaknesses, and a lot of the teams at the top here just don't have crippling weaknesses, because all of these teams are competent and are able to do things. It's just a question of how easy it is for them to do things, and this team does stuff really easily, and it makes it very difficult for the opponent to do things.
Yeah, like, looking at this team, I see just Mega Kangaskhan winning every single game with his power-up punch and then sweeping.
Yeah, very possible. Like, you know, Pult is no stranger to winning. Nasty Plot, Serene Grace, Togekiss. Not Serene Grace, what's it called? Super Luck Togekiss, no stranger to winning. Hitmontop, not strong with Technician. Like, Escav can smash through and Trick Room. Necrozma, genuinely just a win condition with like 80 different sets that you can run setup, or you can just run like a bulky, like, just 3 attack set and still do well. You know, like, you can just so many of these mons can do stuff that's pretty good.
I mean,
also,
Tangela is
Sharpedo
a big funny.
What, sorry?
Tangle is just the big funny. Like,
it is very funny.
I love Tangela.
It has Sleep
Tangela
Powder.
in draft is so good.
Sleep Powder is broken. I think this team's really good. This team is just like a masterclass of, here is how you cover the fundamentals, and you cover the fundamentals well. There is no role that this team is like, oh, I don't really have a great mod for, or I'm reliant on a lowest tier mod for. They have Togekiss as a Tailwind setter, but they also have the opportunity to run like Speed Boost, Icy Wind, Sharpedo if they want other speed control options. They also have the ability to run Rock Tomb on Mega Kang if they need other speed control options. They also have the ability to run etc, 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 and that's the really solid thing about this team. It doesn't force any of its mons into specific roles, and it enables them to thrive in all of the different roles that these mons are, because they're all pretty versatile and they all have the ability to thrive in that versatility. That's what I think really makes this team stand out, even if they maybe on paper aren't immediately the team they're like, oh, this is rank 1 PRs. When you look at this team in its totality, that's where it really stands out. Yeah, I just really like this team. Also, I think we had kind of like looked at a couple of we looked at like Twer's team and Ski's team and Rose's team when we looked at this, and I'm like, you know what, we think this team's a little bit better. And then we looked at the rest of the teams, and none of them really made it into top 5, let alone displace this from top 1. Yeah, I think this team's really solid. I think this team we could see winning. So why don't you guys leave a like and comment down below who you anticipate winning this season. And also, once again, a big shout out to the co-hosts, Filthy Cubone and Pumpkin. Yeah, check it out, the World Pokemon Federation. It's going to be a ton of fun. I've done plenty of other power rankings of the season.
Yeah.
And yeah, check them out. Leave a like. Thanks for watching.